Hi, this is Lore from Intimate Breath, and I'm here again with Lisa.
Hello.
And I wanted to create this video, and I already feel a bit shaky just because it's feels so vulnerable and personal, and it's I would love to talk about my sexual orientation, and I've only recently started to use that word in that way. I feel like I've actually learned a lot by my recent experience of being together with someone and kind of moving deeper and deeper into partnership, at the same time still trying it out, and then having that like, I don't want to use the word breakup. I think people would call it a breakup, but a clear transition of, okay, we're not choosing for each other as partners because we want a different kind of relationship. And how um, in that process, and all the feelings I had and all have, and the struggle and the pain, and the how it is to receive reactions or responses from people that want to support me, but the way they phrase things feel very hard to receive. And I feel sometimes misunderstood in my choices and my relationship needs, and how I am. Um, so to get more concrete, I've always been, since my first boyfriend, I've always been in some kind of open relationship, and I've been trying out the identity of polyamorous. Um, and then there are all these terms like, omnisexual, and like pansexual, and I haven't really looked into that, and I don't really care so much about those terms. But I definitely can easily feel love for multiple people, and it doesn't really matter what gender they have or what sexual orientation they have. And I've recently written a post at Sacred Slut, and there's definitely just a part of me that I actually really value, or got to start valuing, where the relating and inviting multiple people into intimacy and sharing, being invited in a couple bubble, or having a partner and having some kind of, closer friends witnessing us in our love, to whatever degree that is, it's just all these things, they feel so natural for me and so right for me, and so like, yeah, that's how I want to live. And yeah, it just comes really easy for me. And mm, maybe you want to share a little bit what have you been seeing, or how do you know me, and like what I shared thus far. Is there anything you would add, or
Like when you share, I realize what a gift it has been for me in my
mm,
relating to relations,
mm,
in like seeing that it's natural and it's possible
mm,
to want. It's not really about wanting more, but just in being open and inviting for more pleasure and connection.
mm,
It's like in one way finding your all the different elements there are for me to co-regulate myself
mm,
in life. and and how that can be so supportive for all the relationships that I have, including mostly the one that I have with myself.
Mm.
And like, yeah, I don't want to make it about me, but it's also, I'm like, bringing this into pregnancy is huge. Knowing that I like it just becomes clear, like, what world do I want for the the babes that are coming through. And it's
Thank you for
yeah.
saying that. And when you say this, I also like a big aspect of it is that it feels so natural for me that it's also a resource for me. I notice when I am in a more monogamous setting, I'm trying that out, and I'm not creating the intimacy with the friends around me that I would more usual like. Yeah,
The dog is snoring.
the dog is snoring, yeah. Then I would naturally do. I also feel less resourced. It's like it's how I create the network of love and intimacy around me that I need to actually thrive. Like, and everyone has their own ways of creating those resources. And for me, it's definitely having that build trust and intimacy with my closer circle, whether whether they see themselves as friends of mine or lovers or to have just a basic, like for me, like sensual touch, cuddling, um even kissing. Like, I'm not saying I'm gonna kiss every friend, and there's not always a strong impulse, but it would feel really easy and natural for me. And it's almost like my basic expression of care and love, if I really feel my heart with someone. You wanted to.
Yeah, it's like what I'm thinking when I hear you speak also, it's almost like the boundaries that you have, which in some way can be quite tight with what you call friends, and you have lovers, and you have like to have that circle of your intimate connections, and being open for in what way these people can actually serve me intimately, or how they can serve you intimately.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like over the years of open relating and actually getting to know myself and what I need, like in the beginning, and you can actually hear this in another podcast. What's it called? Like one of my latest podcasts about how sexuality became my path. There I share a lot more about this, but like it has been really also finding like, how do I navigate this and how do I make this ethical and healthy and attuned to what relationships and what containers can take, and how I can take care of the connections that are, if there's a web, like how do I take care of my connection with Jim if I'm with you, and the other way around, and how I want to live that. And I feel like I've been learning a lot in that, but also there's an excitement in exploring all these dynamics and all these like, and I'm like, I want to be with people that love that too, just like digging into this. Oh wow, I haven't been in this like constellation yet. And what does that do with me? What does that bring up for me? What does that do with our connection and our love? Is it adding, like, like I get so excited when like one connection with someone can add to a relationship that I have with someone else, and the other way around. Like, can my when I'm invited into a couple space, like, can I add something there? And can they add something to my
Yes, you
love?
can.
So there's such an eagerness there,
Yeah.
and aliveness. And I think what I've noticed in these last months, where I've kind of like struggling with feelings of grief and transitioning my last or my most recent partnership, is having some comments of like, oh, if you want more freedom, it must mean that you love him less than he loves you. um which makes me really sad to hear. And another comment of uh or just that was more like separate from this, but a friend like, yeah, but in 2 years, if you want to have kids, like, you realize that you have to choose, right? Like, and just that a friend of mine wouldn't see that for me happening. And that, I thought that person knew me, and just to hear that, the assumption that I could just shift that or change that, and it doesn't feel like that for me. Of course, I can have agreements, and of course, I can commit to someone and not go into everything that I would want to go to if I'm single, right?
Which I guess could also be a pleasure
Yeah.
of dedication.
Yeah, like finding the pleasure of committing is really a new pleasure that I've experienced this summer. Um, but to understand that, like, the basic way of how I relate is not something I can just shift, and if I will try to, and it's not sustainable, I don't feel myself, I don't feel good in myself.
And do you want to shift it? I guess that's
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
like,
I mean, sometimes I want to because it would feel simpler, right? Like, I want to be with my ex. um yeah. um and I've already shared this also, but like, my mom was said like, oh, wouldn't it be so much simpler if you just went for, like, monogamous relationship? Like, I think you could be so much more happy. And just to, like, she she means it so well, and I received her care. And at the same time, it's all like, for me, it feels like saying to a homosexual person, like, hey, wouldn't it be simpler to just go straight? Like, just get straight, and you will be so much more happy. And yeah. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, and it's, I'm sharing those responses because they really help me see more clearly that, okay, I love this person that is sitting in the kitchen so much. Like, I would love to be in a relationship with him, and I'm like, the deep yes that I have been feeling now is also making it even more clear that this is not something, like, there's part of it that I don't feel I can choose. And by getting these responses of people, there's also part of, like, realizing that it's hard for people to also get that because it's so different from their experience. And of course, not everyone needs to get me, but it felt good to get that clarity for myself, and to know how I can talk about it also, and share it with you. um,
does that make it like different for you to approach your desire or like your need of, or just your expression
yeah,
with others?
I feel more resourced to actually explain it to someone if they would be interested or curious and asking something about it. Like the examples that I use now of, like, the metaphor of the homosexual, or just like the sexual orientation piece. But I also feel just more understanding, like, wow, this is really hard for some people to get. Like, probably it's hard for some people to get that you can fall in love with the same gender, or with, like, and just to feel softer in receiving responses. Feel like I own it, even like I already owned it pretty much as a desire, but now I'm owning it more as, like, this is me. And I don't even, it's not just a desire, it's actually, there's part of it that's a need for me to thrive and feel myself.
Because there's a difference in a need and a desire.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Is there anything more you would share or add? Completely optional. Just kind of like getting to the end of the
Yeah,
video.
I'm just like thinking about how grateful I am also to be to some degree like welcome to witness whatever is the process for you to find your full expression and happiness and fulfillment of needs and your ex partners. Is that correct said? Yeah.
I guess.
Um, his like knowing you two individually, it's been like so beautiful to see you both striving to find what really feels good and whole for both of you and loving each other through that. Like it's really a blessing to see. I feel emotional just thinking about it and talking about it.
And it's such a gift to have like really close friends that seem to really like, get me. Like it doesn't matter if my neighbor gets me or not, but like if some of the closest people around me can just help me be this. And you're definitely a friend like that. And it's it's a real gift.
Yeah, making transitions pleasurable.
Yeah, transition really like how can this be more pleasurable? I'm single now. um,
But she's also very claimed by more people than her.
yeah, yeah, I guess so. Just in how I relate, single means that I don't have like a primary partner, but I still have
Primary friend.
primary friends, and yeah. And just stating like I see people around me do it, and I believe that I can have a family and I can have a primary partner that wants the same things. And
Yes, you
I mean, I say I believe, but it's still like it's yeah, I want to have kids in this way. Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Thank you for listening to this personal share.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Luna.
Thank you for being with me, Lisa. Just for wrapping up, for me, it feels important. I don't need invitations for dates. I don't need advice either. You're very welcome to share just your personal experience in comments or in a message, or just what resonates, where you felt me or us the most, how it lands for you, what it does for you. I would love to hear those things. Thank you.